last week I was saying, maybe that one bit you should clip. After shows like this, I'm thinking better to clip it all.
It's a 20-minute show, and I clipped 19 minutes of it. Hi, bye.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Good morning, glory. Say there, stop that yawning. A brand new day is dawning. Pull up the shade and let the sun come through. Good morning, glory. Spend about an hour underneath a shower and keep on singing like the birdies do.
Coming off of Easter, we are back here on Books of the Week, and what an exciting time to show off a photograph that Steve just sent me of his Easter weekend. It looks like you had one hell of a time, sir. Steve Donahue, book critic at large for the Cedarburg Public Library and CPL Radio and Books of the Week, and that's what we're doing here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm outstanding. As the lone Jew in the room, we don't get the Easter bunny at my house. We get the Easter spider, and they still leaves lots of eggs. So we're very excited.
The Easter spider does leave lots of eggs. It's true. I'm sorry that I'm in a different location here at the old folks' home. They're fumigating my room.
Oh, finally.
I wanted to tell them it's not going to do you any good. Not if you're using commercial grade products.
Do you realize you're trying to fumigate the room of a critic? All the air that comes out of these people? My God.
That bile gets into the carpet.
Well, I'm no better. My band played this weekend, Dewey Decimal and the Librarians.
Oh, my.
Cool cats, let me tell you. Well, what do we do on this show besides the nonsense you've already endured? We talk about books. And this week we are going to do like we do just about every week, and that is a nonfiction selection and then a fiction selection. And then it's wild card time when, like that Easter spider, I plant eggs all over the place. You don't want to be around for this. So what do you have for a nonfiction title this week?
That would work as the just general tagline if we were pitching the show, wouldn't it? You don't want to be around for this.
Seems a little anti-logic, but that's okay.
God, why the Wisconsin Airwaves Committee has
well, the Wisconsin Airwave Committee also allowed this. Synchronous by Benny and Nola. So,
oh, goodness gracious. That hairdo style is the very definition of nearer my God to thee.
How do I get closer? Increasing my chances at the gates of heaven. So, nonfiction, Steve, what you got for us?
We have, for nonfiction, an 800-page work about the Battle of the Somme. No, that's what you're all expecting, isn't it? Yeah? You can see my producer's eyes start to roll. He did a preliminary eye roll. Now, I chose something popular that you might actually want to read.
Oh, troublemaker.
This is called So Easy, So Good, and it's a cookbook by Kylie Sakida.
It's might be our first cookbook on this show.
She is an influencer. She's a social influencer. Nutrition at the @ symbol nutrition by Kylie. It's a huge following.
Is her last name really Cicada?
It's Sakaida.
Ah, Cicada.
This is why the civilizations in the world that are 10,000 years old don't want us around. We go straight to the Borscht Belt humor, and we can't be pried off it. Oh, God. Right.
Anyway.
We wanted them to see what it is they're signing up for.
Exactly right. So what's Kylie's deal?
Oh, my God. This is what we mean, in case you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we mean when we say there's no book podcast like this. If you thought we meant that in a positive way, no.
And to me, there's not nearly enough like this, but that's just me.
The reason I mentioned that Kylie is a social media star, she's an influencer, is that you only get to be that. Pache someone in the room. You only get to be that by catering to short attention spans.
Right.
And also by being photogenic, but we don't need to dwell on that. I certainly don't want to rub your face in it or anything like that. So it's not a beauty contest.
No.
And that is what is typically said by those of us who are the winners.
Right.
But It's not just a short attention span that Kylie is going for in So Easy, So Good.
Okay.
You see it right there in the title. Her emphasis is healthy eating above all.
Sure.
So good, clean ingredients. Stay away from processed food. Stay away from stay away from ingredient lists that go on forever and ever
Sure.
and involve 10-syllable words that sound like there's something out of a chemistry text. She wants instead to lean more towards the cooking of the Eastern world.
Sure.
That tends to be much more, first of all, much healthier.
Yeah.
And also easy to do.
True. This isn't a bad idea. I mean, everything I'm hearing so far is okay.
So easy, so good is a nice, big, beautiful. You'll put a picture up, right? It's a nice, beautiful cookbook. I don't know how you do with cookbooks at the library.
Oh, outstanding, stellar, off the charts. Head on up to 641.5.
This he's talking about the Dewey Decimal System. In case you were wondering. Oh God. This is a perfect example of that. Kylie, the influencer, wants to stress that making your own meals, which is of course the right thing to do, and making those meals good and healthy, that both those things are easier than you think.
I may need this book.
I mean, a lot of cooking influencers on any kind of on YouTube or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
And they say, all right, we're going to do nice, easy rotisserie chicken. And they start talking about 50 different ingredients and advanced technology that you need before you start.
Yeah.
He very much wants you to think that is not true. What you need is a relatively good local market and some very simple preparations. It wouldn't hurt to have a cabinet with basic spices in it.
Sure.
Wouldn't hurt to have a basic pot, a basic pan, a basic skillet, but no huge amounts of advanced expertise is required to do these things.
This is going to be huge, I'll have you know.
She has a huge following, so if her following knows they can find her book at your library, they'll certainly borrow it.
Absolutely.
And I think it speaks to a rot that has infiltrated a lot of American society through things like DoorDash and Amazon Meals and whatnot.
Yeah.
Or in my case, I mean, I'm not meaning to be high on my horse here. I've got a fry place next door. Literally next door. I could hit them with a baseball from my window. And they're open almost all the time.
Yeah.
And they're really nice. And you're right there. So if I want a Caesar salad wrap with a side of fries, well, there you go. It's as easy to do as could be. It takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense and is better for all of us if we are making our own meals. That makes sense. Not only will you not indulge in the typical American blight of overeating.
Sure. Hey.
I know all of Wisconsin. Hey.
Bugles, whistles, and daisies. That's dinner tonight.
Does that say
televittles.
Oh, vittles. Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, no.
I thought we were saving that for the Patreon.
Yes. Funny you bring that up. Patreon, no, never mind. Oh, wait, save it for the end. I'll be good.
Oh. Yeah. The last movie that I saw that had the title we both immediately thought of, because we're both in. The last movie that I saw with that title also contained the line of dialogue. Funny you bring that up. Let's just pull away from that. The point I'm trying to make is that Kylie's not a sellout. She knows what she's doing, and what she's proposing is not only good for you, but doable.
Yeah.
Doable.
Man, that's a really good. I mean, so this is clearly a recommendation.
It is a recommendation.
Yeah.
The recipes that she gives in this book are, in fact, easy. You need to do something ahead of time. You're not going to be able to make any of these recipes from what you have in your refrigerator right now, since it's 10 different kinds of meat.
I was going to say, I won't do real well, Steve.
No, you need to make a little bit of preparation, but not a lot. You don't need to do any of the weird, extravagant stuff.
Right.
Ask you for.
Yeah.
And the reason that hers doesn't is because she is an influencer.
Yeah.
So she knows how to make these things accessible.
I shudder to bring this up, so I will. But this kind of snaps into that wacky lunatic RFK Jr. does talk about this whole food issues that we have. I mean, and again, a broken clock is right twice a day, but
Right.
Even that crowd's going to probably gravitate towards this book for that reason.
Right. I hesitate to give any credit.
I know.
A lunatic and a Nazi.
Yeah.
And if someone you're working shoulder to shoulder with gives a Nazi salute and you don't condemn it as a Nazi salute, you are a Nazi.
But the Caesar salad in this book is really good.
In addition to that, right, a broken clock is right twice a day. Right. And when RFK Jr., whose father would abominate him, when RFK Jr. says that there are too many absolutely disgusting additives in every one of our food items, he's absolutely right.
He's right.
But since he also is a Nazi and also says that vaccines cause autism,
right,
who cares if he's right?
Right. When you're that wrong, you can't ever truly be right, can you? I guess.
I hesitate to allow it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be far better. Think of the power that he has. He has canceled FDA inspections of food. What do you think that's going to do for your health? He's in the process of canceling FDA examinations of food.
Yeah.
Every single food company in the world is waiting patiently for him to do that so they can start putting cut rate poison into their food.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be much better. Considering the power that he has, it would be much better if Kylie had his job.
Right? Sure.
Everybody.
Absolutely. No, that's right.
Talking about you developing the habit of going to the market, not the supermarket, the market. Go to the market and get the foods you need to make a whole week's worth of delicious meals.
We have fine farmers markets here in southeastern Wisconsin, I will say. In fact, they're about to ramp up. They'd have indoor ones, of course, in February. But no, we have great ones actually very close to our library here. So you can do well. You can get some leafy things and probably slap them together with Kylie's book, which we will have here in this library. So yeah, good. Without a doubt. No, that we don't miss a trick on the cookbook food preparation thing.
That's interesting though. So cookbooks are very popular at the library, but aren't they the most likely, other than kids' books, to come back in terrible condition?
Unbelievable the amount of strange oils and grease that we identify on those books.
And yet subsequent patrons don't mind that. Obviously they don't. You can't be doing these every single time.
They mind, but they also realize that they'll be the next blob of oil to so it'll just, but actually after 12 circs you can eat the book, which is great. So that works out very well. Speaking of eating a book, or maybe a book eating you, let's talk about a juggernaut. Let's talk about an old friend of this show.
Old friend of the show.
She loves us.
Everybody listening now is hoping that Prince Harry wrote another book, but no, he didn't. No, he didn't. We'll be there when he does.
We will dispatch the books of the week choppers.
That is still our most talked about episode.
Oh,
very temperate, very gentle review of Spare by Prince Harry. It was very temperate. It was very gentle.
The Revolutionary War Part 2. That's what that was. But
pick today is a name who will once upon a time needed no introduction. She's still going. I won't say still going strong, but she's still going. And that is Danielle Steele.
Yeah.
Who has a new book coming out at the end of this month called A Mind of Her Own. It's a historical fiction. Danielle Steele varies between historical fiction and contemporary fiction, with a couple of disastrous forays into science fiction.
She did. I did not know she did that.
It's a book called The Clone and I, Clone with a K.
Oh no.
Yeah. I have been reading Danielle Steele her whole career. I worked in books. I was a bookseller forever, ever, at the height of her fame. And so I've handed people, God only knows how many hundreds of copies of her books. And A Mind of Her Own is a historical novel about Alexandra Bouvier. A young woman she's much like me. She was born in 1900. Yes. And so she's just coming of age when her parents, who are idealists, decide to take her to war.
Yes.
They want to be ambulance drivers who didn't want to be an ambulance driver. Right? Am I right?
All right.
They wanted to be involved in helping with the war, and so by the 4th or 5th chapter, Alexandra has seen a lot of stuff in the world. She is still a teenager, but she has lost people. I don't want to spoil any elements of the beginning of the book, but she's lost people that she loves and has experienced deprivation and tragedy, violence. Mm-hmm. So when she comes back stateside, she is in the exact position that male veterans were in.
Sure.
Where they come back stateside and they're 20 years old, but they are not a normal 20-year-old. They've seen everything that the world can show them.
Seen too much, yeah.
And they've got to integrate back into the world.
Right.
And she chooses to go to school. She chooses to go to university and get a degree in journalism. And
not a terrible
nope.
That's a good through line, you know.
And it's not terribly done. I have found
Whoa.
Danielle Steele's historical novels tend to ground her more than her contemporary. She tends to do a more grounded job.
Okay.
And she does.
Nice.
In A Mind of Her Own. A Mind of Her Own is about a young woman encountering the post-war world on roughly the same terms as a young man would, only facing the limitations of being naturally in a Danielle Steele novel, she's a pretty young woman.
Of course.
And there are good scenes. There are good sequences. By the middle of this book, you will care what happens to Alexandra. You will.
Broken clock twice a day.
The point I would like to make about Danielle Steele is that when she puts a foot wrong, we laugh about her endlessly.
We do.
But we're fair about her on this channel. She doesn't always put a foot wrong. And honestly, when you think about it, narratively speaking, character crafting, she couldn't always put a foot wrong, or she wouldn't own half of the Antilles.
Right.
She wouldn't be able to do that if she were a failure.
Yeah.
The reaction that I have to this book, the deeper reaction that I have to this book, it is good. It comes out at the end of the month. I'm assuming that the library just de facto orders the new
I when my finger hovers over on the order sheets through Baker and Taylor, and you see the word Steele, I just muscle memory it just happens. I don't even have control over it anymore. You viewers have already seen a large number of reasons why you wouldn't want to watch this show. But one of the reasons why you would is that I am one of the only full-time professional book critics left in the world where it's my job, and that's it. I don't do anything else. And my esteemed host, clinging to his job, is the guy who orders the books for the library. Didn't work then, doesn't work now. No. I thought that would be my day.
So you do order her books, and this book is coming out in April. And those of you who want a fairly light, fairly upbeat historical novel, this is not, Hilary Mantel. It's not even all the light you cannot see. But it is a good historical novel. There are very few historical howlers in here.
Yeah. Wow. That's
because she has somebody to look it over.
Right.
My deeper issue with this book, before we go on to the wild cards, is that it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be a competent, light, uplifting historical novel, because A Mind of Her Own is Danielle Steele's 160th novel.
Oh my God.
This is number 160 novels that she has written.
Unbelievable. The amount of Smith Coronas she's gone through to get to this point.
I realize she's a brand. You give the customer what they want. You're a known quantity. You give the customer what they want. And I realize that for years there has been gossip in the book community that maybe these things are farmed out. I don't know that second one. I don't know that I believe it.
I don't buy that, because I've seen her even in recent Good Morning America interviews, and
she doesn't seem the type.
Doesn't seem the type. No, there's a certain pride there that, and I have a feeling that pride extends to the word processor as well. I'm assuming. So
I think so, and I'm not saying that in any snide way. I'm not saying that these things are so bad that they couldn't possibly be written or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm
saying that by novel 160, it shouldn't be possible for you to write a book like this. It shouldn't. It just shouldn't be possible. And not because you're failing or feeble or too old, but because you would have gone through a creative singularity.
Yeah.
You would be dealing with fiction. Who's written 160 novels?
Yeah.
And yet, the people who have written 160 novels tend to be the ones whose novels are identical, the ones who just chocolate on a conveyor belt.
I feel a Nora Roberts comment coming on.
Or George Simenon.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would do it.
It has to be straight. Yeah.
Conclusion here. It's not a criticism.
Yeah.
When Danielle Steele, when we're fair about her, we're fair about her.
Yeah.
This is not a silly book. The last time we talked about a book of hers, it was silly. This is not.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how it's possible to do this.
Yeah. Dusting off an old manuscript and then perfecting it later, perhaps. I don't know.
What would perfecting mean? What would perfecting mean? I am no Danielle Steele. Okay.
You're just saying that, Steve.
10 years ago, I wrote a short story for a literary journal. And just recently, the other day, somebody suggested to me that I find that story, which is not online, and type it onto my blog, onto my Substack.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, that's an interesting idea. I'll do that. It's not a long story. It won't take long to do. And I typed it out. When you're in secretary mode, you just type it out. You're not thinking about what you're looking, you're just getting the words where they need to be.
Absolutely.
I got all the words where they need to be. And then I thought, well, I wonder if I should maybe touch this up a little, right? Add a little to it, because just in case there's some sort of copyright issue.
Yeah.
Change it a little.
Punch it up, yeah.
A little. Oh my God, I was at it for an hour. I changed a huge amount of it and added a huge amount, solely because my whole conception of what it is to write fiction had matured and had developed over those 10 years.
Absolutely.
Well, Danielle Steele has been writing novels for 150 years.
Right.
This is our 160th novel. How is it possible that it is still recognizably a Danielle Steele novel? How is that even possible?
You would have to fight. You're actually literally fighting evolution. You're just like, no, I will not accept that I could do this.
I have this idea, and you would think you're fighting evolution. You would think that up to this point, that in 2025, she would think of that idea and say, oh, well, you know what I should do with it? And she absolutely does not.
Interesting. So she's almost, it's almost Mad Libs for her in some ways, then, is what you're saying.
Well, except that if it were Mad Libs, that would imply that it's a lifeless thing.
Right.
And a mind of her own is not. It will involve you. You will care about Alexandra in this book.
So potentially she's found a formula for success, internal or otherwise, and said, okay, I am not straying from what this, whatever it is.
That, or you've seen her in interviews, and so have I, and including recently, relatively recently, not old interviews. Both of us got the impression in those interviews that she would not contract these things out.
No, yeah.
There's another impression that I get in interviews. I wonder if you got the same thing, which might be the reason why she never deviates from this formula. In interviews with her, I get the impression that unironically, she loves her fans.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Well, if that were true, wouldn't that be a good reason?
Yeah, absolutely.
You wouldn't pull the rug out from underneath them?
Yeah. It is interesting. We have a nonfiction book of hers. I didn't have a lot of them, but it was a biography of her son who had passed away tragically.
Yes.
And so I picked it up and leafed through it in anticipation of this show. And I mean, I don't want to make light of anything, but at the same time, it really felt like a Danielle Steele novel.
That book, that piece of nonfiction was the only time she and I ever had an epistolary disagreement.
Oh.
We argued in the mail. I wrote her a letter saying, in your book, you say several times that your son died of depression. And that's not true. He died of suicide. He killed himself. And it's important for you to distinguish that, because there are plenty of people that live with depression.
Yeah.
Depression is not a fatal illness.
Right.
And she did not like that. And I, at least at the time, when that book was 70 years ago, at least at the time, she was writing back to people who wrote us thoughtful letters. We went a couple of rounds.
I'm just amazed you're still alive. This is Danielle Steele, for heaven's sake.
Obviously, we were not going to agree.
Right. Absolutely. Wow. I'm talking to the man who went toe-to-toe with Danielle Steele. I
thought it quite like it was a very effective book, but I thought it dodged its central responsibility in that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's amazing. We didn't know that.
I'm amazed the amount of airtime we've given to Danielle Steele today. I was not expecting this. This is kind of wonderful and yet kind of alarming. So that's okay. We will move on. But 2 recommends from Steve this week, essentially. That's great. So I refer to you like this all the time. I say the mostest, but I got a book here called The Most.
Yes.
Skinny little thing. What is this, Steve? I've been so curious about it.
It's contemporary fiction, so I shouldn't like it, but I did largely like it.
Oh, okay.
It's sharp and cutting. It's it muffs its ending, of course.
Okay, of course.
It is sharp and cutting stuff.
Nice.
So if you want contemporary fiction that is very much concerned with the current social scene, but that isn't going to insult your intelligence, you could do a lot worse than this.
There it is.
The library has it. Very good.
Absolutely. Well, the guy at the charge of the machine here is occasionally gets it right, and occasionally he eats some televittles. So
you stop showing that. We're both thinking the same thing. Oh my god.
Teletubbies, of course, yes.
No. The thing that we pay extra for on Netflix.
I bet you people didn't know there was that tier available, but you gotta click around, everybody. Here's a biography and an autobiography. It's Brittany Griner.
Yeah,
Coming Home.
I haven't read it.
Okay.
I tend to veer away. I tend to have a fairly dim view of autobiographies written by people who have no real reason to write one. If you're in the news for two news cycles, that's, I mean, little Timmy falls down a well. He gets trapped down there for 2 days. He gets rescued, and sure enough, in 6 months, at all of 6 years old, he has a book called My Life. I'm sure
My Life in a Well.
Details in it, but I haven't read it.
Okay. Well, we have it available, and if you're curious, check it out. We have Alan Weissman's book, Hope Dies Last. That's twice when I held one up. You made the exact noise that proboscis monkeys make, which is kind of interesting.
I have read this one. I can't recommend it.
Okay.
And in fact, I mean, it's engagingly written. Of course, this guy writes engaging books.
Yeah,
it's engagingly written. You will turn pages. You will read it. But, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but the title is wrong.
What a loaded statement for a Monday afternoon when we were taping this. I don't know.
Who knows when it'll actually be posted?
So quickly. I see. I'm looking at maybe February. Can't rush greatness, Steve.
What's our excuse then?
Oh my goodness gracious. Let's go to Greg Grandin and America. Get my emphasis right there. A New History of the New World.
Yeah. This will fascinate your customers, your patrons, and they should read it. Needless to say, I mean, it's a history of the New World, but it's very political agenda driven.
Oh, really?
So, and there's not to say that is the wrong approach to the subject. There, in the history of the New World, there are plenty of people to hate.
Sure. Yes. Absolutely.
Who came here only wanting to exploit and destroy. And who also wanted to exploit and destroy each other once they got here. So it's just, you have to understand, when you're going into it, you have to understand there are 1-volume histories of America, of the New World, all the New World, and there are 1-volume histories of the New World. This is an angry one.
Oh boy. Okay. All right.
I only hesitate to say it because the people that Grandin is bashing in this book, you should not be cheering. just put it that way. I mean, I'm not in favor of the school of resentment.
Yeah,
he's not bashing anybody that doesn't deserve bashing.
Sure. Yeah. Make up your own mind. Come on down. Another bit of fiction to wrap things up today. I had to do it. I had to grab it. I bought it. So no one to blame but me. Your tax dollars went to Batman Resurrection. Did we talk about this on the show yet or no? I can't remember.
Who wrote that?
Our Star Wars friend, John Jackson Miller.
Oh my God.
It is a continuation of the Tim Burton movies. And it's here.
I have not read this book.
Oh, interesting.
I have not read this book.
Miller's
And
pretty good when it comes to pulp. I mean, he's a good pulpy. I enjoy his Star Wars
I
forays.
have enjoyed some of his pulpy stuff, so he
Yeah.
could make this good.
Yeah.
I am in the drastic minority of people who absolutely hate the Michael Keaton Batman movie.
Oh, okay. All right.
So awful. And I mean just so awful right from the beginning. I'm not talking about a Batman movie that at the end, spoiler alert, kills the Joker. What the hell is wrong with you?
He fell.
I hate everything about the movie. Keaton is drastically miscast.
Yeah.
And also, as long as I got the dude bros screaming, I might as well say the worst piece of casting in the movie is Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Just awful. From beginning to end. It's not it's just awful.
I mean, Cesar Romero was still alive
People joke. People say, well, the Batman TV show was made to be funny. It was made to be high camp. And Cesar Romero took it so lightly that he didn't even shave his mustache to play the Joker. But Cesar Romero's Joker is 100 times more interesting.
Oh, much more fun. Yeah. I mean,
honestly.
Well, if you'd like to revisit that world, here we go.
I wonder how closely he does map onto that world.
I read a couple of reviews that.
So is this a Batman book in which the Joker is dead?
He may be dead, but they have this on the back cover, sir. There's two in every deck. There's
the deck
two
he has in that movie wasn't even ambiguous.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell, what was his name? Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tell Tim Burton, Timmy, you can drop from the top of a building. You can drop from the top of low orbit. A human body is not going to embed itself in concrete. Okay. That's not how it works. You're a water balloon. You're not going to embed yourself in concrete.
That's a great new bat villain, the water balloon.
One of the most interesting things I've ever heard about the Tim Burton Batman movie. I wonder if you'd agree. I was thinking about it for weeks after I heard it. How much more effective a movie it would have been if the two leads had been swapped.
Oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. I never thought about it that way.
I had never thought about that. Now I can't stop thinking about it.
Can you imagine Batman as like a Jake Giddings type? That would be really
an older Batman.
An older Batman, absolutely. Which is not out of the question. I mean, obviously, it's very.
And I think we can all agree that a Michael Keaton Joker is someone we wanted to die at the end of the movie.
Certainly. Oh yeah, and I mean, it would have been a great deal of fun.
You have opened the trapdoor here. You've introduced movie talk at the end of Books of the Week. That's deadly.
I did.
I'll talk about movies forever.
Well, speaking of things falling and splatting on the pavement, I do have to give you a piece of news from this part of the country. One township over, Grafton, Wisconsin, very close to Cedarburg, but you know that because you've wandered the world, had their Easter egg. They decided to do an Easter egg drop this from a plane, no less. Now, how can that go? I don't know. I'm a little worried because if these are hard boiled and coming from a plane, I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't cite anything.
Both of us are thinking of the same fish in the weeds line. God is my witness. I thought cookies could fly.
Yes, exactly.
But our listeners don't know what we're talking about.
No, that's true. What can you do? So. It's not Thanksgiving yet. We can't dust that off. But what we can dust off is the fact that over at Patreon, you can find a little dollop of Books of the Week. And there'll be some new posts this week. I've got some clips in the wings, so we'll get that going. Patreon.com/Books of the Week. Every nickel, every dollar, every cent, every bit of pocket lint you send our way goes directly to the Friends of the Cedarburg Public Library, who... Oh, yes, Steve.
In fact, one of the Friends of the Cedarburg Public Library also came to the New World intent on destruction.
I think they were successful. I think they pulled it off.
They're not quite finished yet, Bub.
He's not over.
There's still work to be done. There are still undesirables in this country. I
know. Well, signing off.
In a hurry. We don't get more undesirable.
My bus is here. Anyway, as always, thank you, Steve. It's always a pleasure. Always wonderful. Looks a little windy over there in Boston.
strategically, it would probably be a better idea to plug the Patreon before they see the show.
Yeah, I always like to end and say, just think, all this, you could have a piece of all of this. All this
Yeah, just think, in addition to having suffered through all of this, you could pay for it.
Such an honor that we are providing you here at Books of the Week. The one graphic I didn't use, and I haven't figured this out, now is probably the good time. You know, you can spend your money at Patreon and support the show, or it looks like you actually could get a miniature monkey. No cost. I don't know. I've read into this, and I don't know if you actually got a monkey. It's a comic book ad, clearly. So at no cost to you, or me, or maybe shipping and handling.
And rabies.
And 14 shots in your stomach. I was just surprised to see that, and I figured somewhere on the show I can dust that off, and now was the time. Have a good week, everybody. Have a good reading week. Enjoy your free monkeys, and we'll see you next week. Maybe Prince Harry will write a book by then. Come on, get going. Bye, y'all.